Hello everyone, this is Mumbo here, welcome back, and today we are back on the Hermitcraft server. It is episode 20 and this is the first episode of 2015. Welcome to the new year. What are all of your New Year's resolutions? I'm sure they're all pretty much the same as every other year, but you know what, this is all exciting, new beginnings and all that sort of thing, and we have got some awesome plans for today's episode. I do apologise that you didn't get an episode on Thursday. Obviously that was actually New Year's Day, so it's sort of excused, but I had a bunch of things to plan, as well as the December 30th Yogscast charity livestream. Thank you to everyone that came along to that. I had a blast. All of the hermits had a blast. We raised a bunch of money for charity, and it was really great fun, and it's given us plenty of ideas for organised events in the future featuring us hermits, so it's going to be good. That means that was like a good tester, a good little alpha stage, so in the future we can do organised events. They're a little bit better than that one, and they will all run smoothly, because we did have a few little technical difficulties, nothing too major, but there were a few little things that went slightly wrong, and hopefully we can try and iron those out in the future. But I had a lot of fun, so thank you to everyone that turned up to that one. But anyway, that's enough waffling on about that. That is so last year. How about we crack on with what we have planned for today's episode? So as you guys know, I've been looking to move out of Hermit Hills. We're going to be flying the roost, we're going to be leaving this place and moving out to a new base area. And as you saw at the end of the previous episode, we've actually managed to find a new area in which we want to move to. It's absolutely lovely. It's got a big hill and then it has a swamp next to it, which doesn't sound particularly good, but it's mostly water, which means we've got a really large open space to work with that should work very nicely with the plans that I've got. So I'm excited to move over there. But as you saw at the end of the previous episode, we tried to link it up in the Nether, and it didn't particularly work. Now, I've never been good at that sort of thing. I've always been awful at linking things up in the Nether. They never sync up correctly, and I always end up somewhere completely different. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to ditch that idea. We're not going to be doing anything in the Nether in today's episode. Instead, we are going to be doing a railway system. Now, like I say, this new place is around about 1,000 blocks away, so this is very, very ambitious indeed, but I feel like we can do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start getting to work. We're going to start mining out the area underneath, because we're going to be going from the Redstone consultancy all the way to this new base via minecart. Now, some of this minecart rail is going to be underground, some of it is going to be above ground, so what I thought I'd do is I would do the first section underground, and I will time-lapse that whole mining experience for you guys. Now, the time-lapse itself is going to be about 1.5 minutes long. I'll try and put some funky music to it so it's enjoyable, because it is mostly going to be me mining. But if you don't want to watch it, then of course just skip 1.5 minutes ahead, and then it'll be back to the same old commentary. But anyway, now it's time to get down to business. I'm going to get my mining hat and boots on, and let's go. And 2 hours later, the tunnel has been completed. Now, I say that a little bit loosely because I actually recorded all of that time-lapse footage before I started recording this video, which might sound a little bit strange, but basically while I was doing all of that introduction, this tunnel was actually already done, but I thought I'd run it through as a linear chain of events just because that makes more sense for the episode. But anyway, this tunnel is absolutely Goliath. It's around about 490 blocks long, I do believe, from one end to the other. It is all 3x3, and it is huge. It took much longer to mine out than I ever thought it would. I didn't really think about it. I just started mining, I put some music on, and I just got down to business. And you know what? Like I say, it took around about 2 hours. which isn't really that bad considering how long this tunnel is. It goes right the way through all of this stone here. We didn't really hit many caves, which is quite a good thing. There was one cave that we hit that I think I'm actually going to leave there. We'll just put glass around it for the tunnel, which could look fairly cool. But in terms of decoration, because obviously we're not going to be leaving it looking like this, I don't really know what I want to do. Here's the thing, okay? I don't want to fully decorate this place because that will take absolutely ages. That will take so long to do. So I think I'm going to do what I'm going to call half decorating, where basically I take out all of this stuff and I replace it with stone, and then I add decoration every sort of 10 or so blocks, just to add something nice to look at, maybe a nice way of lighting it up, something like that. But for the minute, I'm very, very happy with how far we've managed to come with this tunnel. It goes right the way over here. And you know what? I'll take you to the exit. This is where the minecart is going to be traveling. And it will go up this little slope at the end and then out into a nice open area in which there's plenty of birch trees. There's a lot of birch trees over here. But this is about the time in which it is going to turn right and head off 400 blocks in that direction over to the new base area. So here we go. We are coming up to the surface now. It is raining, which is a bit of a shame, but this is where the minecart is going to be leaving. And you see what I mean? Birch trees everywhere. So I'm just over in XP Crafted's Ocean Monument base once again, and I always say this in all of the episodes in which I'm over here. This place is absolutely incredible. We actually headed over here in the Yogscast charity livestream, and everyone in the chat got extremely excited about it, and that is because it's just nuts. It's a nutty place. But I'm actually over here to gather up some of these prismarine lamp, sea lantern type things. So I guess the way that we craft it, if I do remember quite correctly, is you place in all of the prismarine crystals around here, and then these shards round like this, and we get ourselves a bunch of these sea lanterns. Now these are probably my new favourite lighting blocks, and they're entirely renewable. This is probably one of the best times to be alive right now. You know, I was talking earlier on about how I wanted to half decorate this tunnel, basically have a low effort solution to making the whole place look a whole bunch better. I feel like I've come up with a pretty good idea of how to do that. As you can see here, we have got stone slabs going around like that with these gorgeous, beautiful animated sea lanterns in the middle. I mean, I really think these guys look good, and I feel like they go fairly nicely with the stone slabs and the stone surrounding them as well. So I feel like that's a pretty good addition, and basically, these are going to be placed 8 blocks apart all the way along. Now that means that this place should stay fairly lit up, which means that we shouldn't have any mobs spawning, but it also means that we'll have a nice little bit of decoration in a relatively boring tunnel. Now I know it's not going to win any awards, it's certainly not the most groundbreaking design choice in the world, but it's nice and easy, and we should be able to do it relatively quickly. So I'm going to have to build around about 50 of these, which means I'm going to need 100 sea lanterns, and I'm going to need a ton of slabs. And just so you know, the reason that I've left these blocks out is because this is where the redstone blocks are going to be going. They're going to be powering our rails. So there we go. So I've done around about 10 of these so far, and I have to say, I hadn't fully anticipated how long this was going to take. Now, the main problem that I'm having here is all of these sorts of blocks, okay? You see them? All of this stuff, the coal, the ores, and all that sort of thing. It takes a lot longer to mine it out because, of course, you have to search it out, you have to mine it out, and you have to replace all of that sort of stuff with stone, and that adds a large amount of time to doing every single one of the modules. So, for example, here you can see I've had to mine out a large area, and then we take a look around. I've actually missed a spot over here as well, so we'll chuck stone in there as well, and then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you mine out this area. We take out all of this stuff as well. We place in all of these blocks, and then we are going to do the little band that we have with the slabs and the ocean lamps. Now here's the thing, okay, the sea lanterns and all this sort of stuff, the decoration actually takes a very, very short length of time indeed. You just place in all of the slabs, and then you put the lanterns on either side, and that is that done. It is mostly just mining out all of the blocks and replacing them with stone that is the main bottleneck here, which is a bit of a shame, but you know what, we have to do it. There's no point in building all of this tunnel, then leaving all that stuff in there, because it doesn't look very good. So you know what, I'm just going to keep working on it, I'm going to stop moaning, and I'll catch you guys in a bit. So I would say I'm around about halfway done on the tunnel now. I can see from end to end, and I have to say, this end looks a whole bunch better than this end. I'm very glad that I'm putting in the time to do that tiny bit of decorating. It's only a little detail. It's a tiny little thing, but it makes such a massive difference. This looks pretty smart. This looks very, very scruffy indeed, and I will always go for the smart option. The only thing that I am complaining about, of course, is all of the ugly blocks. I had a nice little strip a nice little stretch of around about 4 modules in which there were no ugly blocks. It was just stone, there was no ores, there were no andesite or any of that sort of thing, but now they have come back in full force. As you can see right here, it goes right the way around here. I've also cleared out a little bit of area, but yeah, they're just very frustrating. They add a significant amount of time to the build, but as I mentioned earlier on, I'm going to stop moaning, I'm going to bite my tongue, and I'm going to continue building. Finally, another 2 hours later, we have finished decorating the tunnel. 2 hours! I can't believe it. I know I've said that so many times in today's episode, but I cannot believe how long it took to do these little decoration elements. It took as long as it took to mine out the tunnel to do these little parts here. And look at them, they're only tiny little things. I can't believe how long it took, but I would say that it's definitely been worth it because this place looks absolutely fantastic, if you're asking me. Now, I know that might just be because I've been looking at them for the past 2 hours, but I would say it is so much better than it originally was. It really has made a difference. As you can see, they go right the way up the slope there, which I think looks fairly cool. But anyway, if we head back down here, you will notice what I've done in the cave area is I've actually left it all open. I haven't continued on the stone, but I have continued on the theme. So we've got the stone slabs going around in bridges, like this, with the sea lanterns in the middle, and I think it looks really cool. And what I'm going to be adding in now is some glass around the edges, so we've still got a tiny bit to do, but this certainly shouldn't take too long. The glass is in, it looks really cool. You can see that we've got some holes here, and that is because I forgot to put in the half slabs, but sadly I forgot to bring any half slabs along, so I can't fix it. But this is how it looks, and I'm very, very happy with it indeed. That is the final addition for the decoration of the tunnel, but sadly there is still work to do. Yes, we have to add in all of the minecart rails. Now I'm going to have to craft all of these up. That's going to take a very long time indeed. All of the stuff that we have to do in today's episode is going to take a very long time, but eventually we will end up with the great rail of Hermitcraft, and that's worth it for me. Oh, well, it looks like I might have gone a bit overboard with the whole rail crafting thing. The way that I'm laying out my rails really is quite simple. In fact, I don't even really know why I'm showing you this, but I feel like you guys deserve a bit of a look in. So as you can see, we've got our little strands here. In the middle, we've got the redstone power block, and I'm going to be using 3 boosters for every single redstone power block. So we're going to place in all of the rails going across like this, and then we chuck down our redstone block, we chuck down these 3, and then we do the rails. Now this feels like it is going to be a lot faster than the whole decorating process. I mean, I don't know what to think anymore, because like I said, I thought that was going to be an easy, quick project, but it turned out to be much longer than that. So we'll see what happens, but this definitely feels a lot smoother. And 5 hours later, all of the minecart rails are done. Now, I'm just kidding. It only took around about 20 minutes, which isn't too bad in the grand scheme of things. So now we have a set of minecart rails that go right the way along our tunnel. Now, there's one thing that I want to remind you here. We are only just over halfway. Alright, we have only just gone past halfway of our total journey. However, most of the extra stuff is actually going to be above ground, which should be a little bit easier. But anyway, let's hop inside our minecart and we'll give this a test. I want to see how fast and how long it is going to take to travel along this tunnel. And the first thing that I'll say is that minecarts, they are slightly slower than I remember, but also slightly louder than I remember. So I'll turn that down just before you guys go deaf. But yeah, this isn't quite as speedy as I was first expecting. I don't know why. I seem to remember in one of the snapshots, they actually changed minecarts a little bit so that they moved faster. I remember it because if you went round a corner too fast, they'd actually fly off, which wasn't particularly good. Now, I can't remember if this was actually implemented or not. Now, looking at this, I'm going to say no, because this isn't particularly quick. However, I could be wrong, and I'm sure all of you will let me know about that in the comments section. That's always the first place that I look to. If anything that I've mentioned in the video has gone wrong, you guys are going to let me know in the comments. But anyway, here we are. We are now in Birch Paradise. This is where we are going to be making our right turn towards our base area. So our base area is right the way over that hill. We're actually going to be going through the hill, which means we've got a little bit more mining to do. But you know what? That wasn't too bad. I would say the total journey is going to take around about 2, maybe 3 minutes. Not awful. I think for the elevated section of the minecart track, we're going to be using stone slabs once again. I know, surprise, surprise, we have used those quite a lot in today's episode, and also quite a lot in Hermitcraft Series 3, I have to admit, but they do look cool, and they definitely function quite nicely for our little minecart rail, because they'll be traveling across like this, and then we'll be making the right turn at some point over this river here. As far as the supports are concerned, we are going to be using spruce wood. So we're going to be using spruce wood logs, as well as some cobblestone walls, some redstone blocks, obviously to power all of these booster rails here. And we're just going to be doing some mix and matching. I'll try and come up with a design while we're building it. But anyway, I'm going to start working on this. I'll probably do progress updates on this one, so I'll catch you guys in a little bit. Alright, so I have been working on the elevated section of the rail for a while now, and I thought it was about time that I gave you a progress update. As with pretty much all of the things that I've done in today's episode, it's taken a lot longer than expected, because this is just a little bit more detailed than the one that we had beforehand. Now, we still have 400 blocks to go, and it has taken me probably about 45 minutes to do this part, and I'm getting much faster now building it, but it is still taking a very, very long time. But as you can see, we have got some very nice supports that drop right the way down into the ground, or in this case, the water. Now, I know that may look just a little bit silly, those things are floating. What we have to remember is very, very few people are actually going to be seeing these, which is why I am starting to question why I'm spending so long decorating it when really nobody's ever going to see them at all ever, because no one is really around here apart from Topmass, who is right the way over that hill. So the chances are, yeah, no one's really going to see these. But you know what, it's something nice to work on, and you might as well have a fully completed project that you think looks good and that you've worked really hard on than something that's a little bit half-assed. However, you know, I'm starting to wonder other things, you know. It's been a long time that I've been playing Minecraft today. But anyway, I'm going to keep working on this. I'm going to keep building it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make the full trip in today's episode, simply because this is a much bigger project than I first ever imagined. But I think what we're going to do is we are going to first off make it all the way over to this hill, then we are going to go through said hill, and we'll see where that gets us. And just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, the chickens are gone. Where on earth have the chickens gone? So here we are coming up the minecart rail now. It is a beautiful sunny day, and as you can see, I have finished this elevated section of the minecart rail. So here we go around the corner, and then we will continue off into the distance through this here hill. Now, before we get onto that whole section there, I just want to take a look at the elevated section itself, get a nice little low angle on it, and yeah, it looks good. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm happy with the build itself. I mean, some of the longer supports, you know, the tall ones, they might look a little bit silly. They could do with being a little bit beefier, but you know what? I'm not going to be changing any of these just because, you know, I think it does a pretty decent job. And as I mentioned earlier on, no one's really going to see them. You can't really see them when you're on the minecart track, and no one really passes by here, so there's no point in putting tons and tons of effort into all of the details when really they don't matter that much. And I would say this does a pretty decent job at looking like a really cool rail. So the Great Rail is coming along nicely. It is all looking good. It functions perfectly as well, which is always a bonus. So now it is time to move on to the next section. Now, this is where we go through this hill here, and I might as well actually take a look at what is behind this hill so that we know what to expect. We'll pop on over here. This is a really pretty place. Look, we've got a water fountain that goes down. I mean, it is a shame that we have so many birch trees. I mean, there is no other type of tree in sight. Even the ones up there are birch trees, which is a little bit silly, so we might need to plant some different types of trees around here. I suppose there is some of the dark oak ones over there as well. But anyway, if we pop up here, we should be able to see where the hill comes out. Okay, so we're going to come out through this hill. There's going to be a tiny elevated section, then we're going to go back into another hill, and then I believe after that we should be nearing the base location. I'm not 100% certain, but we should be getting closer. But like I say, not 100% sure I'll be able to finish this in today's episode. Progress update time. I have managed to go through the first hill, as you can see here. It's a relatively short stretch, it's not particularly long. We have gone for the same design that we have always been going for on the Great Rail. I think that's what I'm going to be calling it from now on, the Great Rail. It sounds pretty good to me. But yeah, we have gone for the same design that we went for in the beginning. I was originally considering mixing things up a little bit, but then I thought to myself, what's the point in making things more complicated for myself? I've already got enough stuff on my plate. How about we just get down to business, we build it, we stop faffing around. This is a nice time-efficient design, and I think it looks pretty good. I think it works fairly nicely, and we have got the elevated section coming into the tunnel section, then it will go back into elevated, and then it will go back into tunnel. We'll travel through that hill and off into the distance. A little bit extra has been done. As you can see here, we have got the whole tunnel done, as you saw in the previous jump cut, But now we have this tiny little elevated section here. I wouldn't even call it elevated, it's about a block off the ground, so I decided to do away with all of the struts and things like that, and instead I have just got solid stone half slabs going right the way across, and you know what, it does the job. It looks absolutely fine, and as you can see, I've also started work on going into this mountain hill type thing over here. My shovel has broken, which means I'm having to hand mine all of the dirt, so it's taken quite a long time, but we are making progress. However, I have taken a look above this hill and seen where it comes out from, and I can't really tell where it's going to come out from. As you can see here, we have got a little bit of a dip, so we've got a little bit of exposed area, but if we head round the sides and go up like this, let's see if we can actually make it up round all of here, navigating all of the amplified terrain, go up and around here. Right, as you can see, we have got a lot of land here, we have got a lot of land going around like this, and yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to be popping out anytime soon. I don't think this drops low enough, so that means it's going to be on the other side of this hill as well before we even reach daylight. Oh, I'm gonna have to keep mining, aren't I? I get the impression I'm about to break through onto the surface. I can hear mob noises and things. Oh yes, look, there is, well, I say daylight, I mean it's nighttime, which is actually pretty bad. Let's take a look around and spot, oh wow, that scared the life out of me. Oh, he piled straight into the hole, and there's another one as well. Zombies, they can track you from a mile off. But anyway, let's take a look around, try and work out where we are. This doesn't look familiar, that doesn't look familiar. Yeah, we might still be a long way off here. Let's take a look up at the top. Oh, that's another portal, that's my base. That's the future base. There it is. So actually, we've managed to get within probably about 200 blocks. Let's take a look inside our tunnel. We have dug a fairly long way here. If we take a look inside, yeah, this has been a fairly long one. Wow, okay, so we have still got quite a long way to go here. We've got another elevated section, and then we are going to have to go through another hill, but we are on the home straight. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, I have totally and utterly run out of time today. It has been a long project for me. I'm going to have to take a chill pill, just chillax with my cat, probably sit on the sofa and watch the Top Gear specials, because I haven't watched those just yet. But it has been a big one. I hope that you've enjoyed it. It's been quite a long project. If you have enjoyed this one, please be sure to hit that like button. And if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later.